Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Nathaniel Aranda, and I am honored to serve as the Senior Vice President of Strategy for Healthier Texas. And I would love to see where everyone is coming in from today. So if you don't mind, if you could share your name, your organization affiliation, and what city you're coming from, we would love to see all the parts of Texas and beyond that we're representing here today. So we are very excited to kick off this partnership with Healthier with this joint webinar today. In today's fast-paced world, stress and isolation are becoming all too common, impacting both physical and mental health. Today, we will explore strategies to help build stronger connections and boost resilience with the help of our incredible panel experts today. For those of you who are new to Healthier Texas, we are a statewide nonprofit organization focusing on access to health and resource for all Texans. We have been proud to serve this state for more than 20 years now. We provide services like health coaching, fitness and nutrition classes, community challenge that encourages thousands of Texans annually to prioritize their health through small, sustainable actions. Through partnerships like this one, with Innovia Life, we continue to offer support and guidance to help community thrive. So thank you, Innovia. Thank you for joining us today. And we are just really excited about today's panel, today's presentation, and today's discussion. So now I would love to introduce Lucas Catton, the founder and CEO of Innovia Life, to share a little bit more about the work they do and how it will support today's discussion. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you so much, Nathaniel. And Amelia and Ricardo, Healthier Texas, we're super excited to be able to partner with you and help serve more people together. And really what Innovia Life is we are a support platform for living. And how can we support people through everyday challenges in life, from health and wellness related stuff to mental health and recovery related to work and personal relationships. And being able to help fill the gaps between traditional services that might be out there and be a supplement or supportive system for people. That's why we exist, because we know when people feel better in life, then we do better in life. So thank you so much for having us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lucas. Bernard, did you have a couple of words that you wanted to share about your work and your passion for the mission of Innovia Life?
Thank you very much, Nathaniel and Lucas Cotton, and also Amelia and Ricardo. Yeah, when I met Luke a couple of years back, it's like in Spanish, we have a saying, se juntaron el hambre y las ganas de comer. That meant that hunger and appetite got together because we both have the same passion, the same mission, serving people. My background, I served in the military, so I'm used to serve people. And for the last 40 years, I've been just in service for people within and outside of companies and international corporations, also helping people overcome severe addictions after also recovering after suicide attempts and also burnout. So I'm kind of familiar with those, let's say, well, those life's manifestations because I suffered them myself. That means I'm also a survivor, I'm a striver, and I've studied them in depth. So it's not just the personal experience, but also the, let's say, the academic background on it, which is just a minor part to understand what really is happening. And I'm an extremely social person. That's why I stand full behind what you're doing at Healthier Texas. My congratulations on that. And also, I'm Luke's and Innovia's biggest fan because I actually do believe that's part of our human nature, community. It's like when we stick together, it's like nothing can bring us down. So that's my contribution to Innovia.
I love that. That's amazing. And, I think in today's world, connection and community is more important than ever. So we are so grateful that we are part of the Innovia Life community and we welcome you with open arms to the Healthier Texas community and family. So thank you so much. So this is going to be a panel discussion this afternoon, and we encourage everyone to submit questions throughout the conversation in the Q&A that will be answered later on in this presentation. So first, I'd like to start with you, Lucas. You've worked closely with communities to promote wellness. Could you share an example of how building strong communities have helped communities improve overall health?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I come from really primarily a substance use background prior to starting Innovia. I've owned and operated treatment facilities. I've helped other people start and grow theirs. And really such a great example of this is in the recovery community. And when you're focusing on not only supporting each other through the various challenges that can come with that, but strengthening what happens in the future, being able to address other areas of life that make the recovery aspect much easier. And unfortunately, there are times where things can get too focused on the past. And by being able to bring people together and support each other on future goals as well as present struggles, knowing that they're not always going to be the same, that there is a future ahead. And so that's such a, I think, an easy one to point out in the recovery space. But we could pick many of those different things along the way. Recovery from lots of different things. So there, I could go into some more examples, but I'll stop there.
I love that. I love that, we can always know that there is a future ahead for all of us. I think that's sometimes hard for us to remember kind of in the eye of the storm. But again, with organizations like Innovia, you all are here to support, and we're just really excited to kind of see how our clients, how our family can kind of integrate into these services. Bernard, you have been involved in shaping wellness programs for diverse communities. What patterns have you seen in terms of stress and isolation, and have successful programs address those challenges?
I think, Nathan, the major part or the major issue is when we disconnect. And that's something that I've seen not only in the United States, also in Mexico, in Germany, and all the countries that I've had the privilege to work with, and also with the community. So it's not just a cultural thing, it's a human thing. So that's for me the main pattern that I've discovered over the past 4 decades working in different scenarios, working with high achievers and working with the so-called people that have no present and no future. I would like to take on what you said and also on what Luke said is like, there's a saying that we shouldn't let our past that had no future ruin our present. So let bygones be gone. Let's focus on what we can change, what we can do, because we can't change the past. I mean, Luke knows that I have a master's degree in logotherapy and counseling and existential counseling. But what I say is like, let's resignify our past.
Mhm.
Let's jump. Let's use the past. Let's use our experiences to learn from them and share that with others. Because we all know sharing is caring. And as long as we care for each other, we can protect. Yeah, I've seen that from small, high performing teams. I was a recon Marine for 6 years, so that's kind of like, yeah, very tough. But we stuck together. And I've also seen that in other areas, sports, family. If you look at life, and if you look at I'm not going to say resilient people, but if you look at healthy people, healthy communities like Healthier Texas, what you're building, it's all about community. It's all about us and doing it together. So that's the main pattern that I've discovered. And also, I think the most challenging one, especially nowadays when society and everybody claims, well, be the best, you can do it, you just fake it till you make it and all that. And I'm going to say that's Bull and then a couple, SCH and then an I and a T, something that we can't really say out loud. But yeah, it is. No, let's stick together. And none of us, and that's something that I've learned and I've experienced over the past decades, none of us is as capable as all of us together. So basically, that's my spirit. And that's the pattern that I've discovered.
I love that, and I think, organizationally, we believe that we are stronger together, and which is why we are so excited to be in all these different communities, and programs like the Community Challenge really foster collaboration where we can see each other on a human level and really just be able to be there for one another and lift each other up. So, and again, I know that's part of the mission of Innovia Life. So I think this synergy right here is really exciting, and just again, can't wait to see more of this blossom as time goes on. Amelia, so communication is key to promoting wellness. What are some strategies that have worked best to help people take that first step towards building a healthier connection?
Goodness, that's a good question. I know that within our modern world, communication is one of those things. We have so many barriers because it's just so noisy. Our world is so noisy right now, and it's so hard to form really authentic connection because of that noise. I know that social media, I know that even just the devices that we have sitting next to us make it where it looks like we're more connected, but truly I feel like it's made us more separated. We have so many different strategies that we can employ, and at Healthier Texas and in marketing at Healthier Texas, we keep a lot of these strategies in mind. I know that for me as an individual who's focusing on my wellness, I love normalizing those health conversations, making it to where I'm not going to be that perfect person when I'm displayed on social media always, because I want people to understand we are all living this life and we're not all in a place where we're doing the perfect things, but we are trying and we're achieving and we're working towards bettering ourselves. So just authentic connection, just really finding that way of having the intentionality to build that authenticity within your connections as you're building them in the communication space. And for us as marketers, or as myself as a health communicator in this space specifically, just becoming someone who can be trusted, a trusted messenger to relay that information. And whether it's education, whether it's storytelling of people who have been successful across our state, I just feel like that is a way for us to make communications a very integral part of the promotion of health.
I love that. And I think, one of the things we see on social media so much is that facade of this perfect picture, these filters and all these pieces that can make our lives look more different than it is. And I love that you are wanting to be authentic to your true self. And I do love how here at Healthier Texas, we are championing our clients, our constituents, and those who are in our circle with these small milestones. It doesn't have to be a major milestone to celebrate. I think we love celebrating every incremental step. And I think that's a really big piece of marketing and how we're able to really get more people on board with what we do and who we are. Bernard, another question for you. From an operational standpoint, how do you ensure that wellness programs can meet the specific needs of different communities while maintaining a focus on improving health?
That's an excellent question because it touches three of my backgrounds. In the military, we used to say plan. Marine Corps is known, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And I would like to focus on that. It's like proper planning prevents poor performance. So if we plan those interventions, and of course, it depends on that adaptive design and a continuous feedback loop. That way, we can ensure that also if the community helps us build that, it's collaboration, it's co-building, and not just giving them a standardized program that one size fits all. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. Not for humans. We're extremely individual. We have our own personal individual needs, and we also have collective needs. So instead of focusing on what society is asking us right now to do, what is your unique selling point? Well, it's like, what brings us together? When we were children, I don't know if you get, well, my time with math is a long time ago, but how can you add a quarter, a half, and a third? You look for the common denominator. And that's what we look at Innovia. What are the common denominators that we people as humans share as society? And that's what we focus on. And everything else, it just falls in place. So that means adaptive design and continuous feedback. Get feedback from the people. How are you feeling? How are you doing today? Well, that didn't work. Well, try this. And then you hear somebody else. It's like if right now we ask a question, we can get 100 different ways to approach the same problem. So we can learn instead of saying, no, that's the only way. Sorry, that's been proven wrong for the past couple of thousand years in humanity. So basically, um, what we can do is develop co-created programs. And I'm sorry, now look, I have to do some publicity for Innovia. It's like uh, we've grown on the Spanish side, for example, listening to the people. It's like, what do you want to do? Oh, I need help in public speaking. Cool. Let's open up a group for public speaking. Now somebody said, well, I kind of have problems with that's one that we started in English first, and then we opened up in Spanish as well. It's like anger management. Cool. It's like I used to be an extremely angry person. So I studied that and we said, okay, we'll open up an anger management group. People bring their needs and we serve them. And that's what the community is all about. So basically, yeah, that's it. Adaptive design, listen to what the people's needs are, and continuous feedback. Hope that helps.
Yes, definitely. And, I think community listening and client serving is really key to making sure that programs are successful and viable for the long term. So this kind of really goes into a question for Ricardo now. I know you have a lot of direct experience with programs and participants in public service areas. Could you share a story where someone found resilience and better health through the support they received?
Thanks, Nathaniel. Hi, everyone. I'm Ricardo. I manage the community challenge here at Healthier Texas. And one conversation that I've recently had that really stuck with me was with Aaron Salinas at the FAR San Juan Alamo ISD School Health Advisory Committee, the PSJA SHAC. He's a regular participant of our community challenge, and he's been participating for a couple of years now. And he shared how through his journey, he started to redefine what health meant to him. Instead of focusing on weight loss or physical activity or exercise, he began recognizing other important aspects, like better sleep, having more energy throughout the day, and learning to set work boundaries so he could spend more time with his family. And so like these shifts not only improved his physical well-being, but it also strengthened his overall resilience and his quality of life. And this is exactly what we hope to encourage through the community challenge. It's not just about logging workouts. It's about building habits that support every part of your well-being. Whether it's getting better sleep, making time for loved ones, or setting personal boundaries, these small changes, they do add up and they make a big impact. And the best part is that when we do this together, we can create a support system that helps us stay accountable and motivated.
That's great. And, I think one of the things that I really enjoy with Healthier Texas programming is that we're really prioritizing the client and their journey. So not just saying a one size fits all approach. Sometimes they might want to focus on different pieces and then come back to a different goal later on. So I think the health coaching team here at Healthier Texas does a really amazing job. And then just kind of mirroring that with a community challenge, it really sets people up for attainable goals that they can feel good about and complete in their own time. So, Lucas, what are some practical tips that have helped people reduce long-term stress and build resilience?
Boy, this one hits personal at times. I think we've all experienced times of major stress, and we're going to, as just being part of humans on this earth. And so I think stress management is such a key thing in anything that we do. And stress management doesn't have to be, as Bernard said earlier, like a one size fits all. And as Ricardo talked about as well, about being able to identify different things that can build your resilience. And for me personally, some of the biggest things that have helped me and that I typically share with others, with my kids, et cetera, is first of all, learning to be able to pause and take a moment. And with that is also paying attention to your breath. Something very simple of slowing down your breathing and being able to incorporate some basic mindfulness activities has been such a valuable thing for myself, and realizing that we can't always control external activities. In fact, we rarely can, but we can control our response to what's going on. And by being able to do that, and for example, breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for a couple of seconds, and exhaling for 6, it activates our autonomic nervous system, and it enables us to have better heart rate variability. It lowers our blood pressure. It builds our overall immunity as well. And as we do these simple things and can incorporate them in various ways, we realize that we wind up having a little bit more agency in life, and that we don't always have to be in this panic stress mode, even when things are incredibly difficult. Learning how to sit with them and knowing that they're not always going to be this way. I use another method in one of the groups that I host that we talk about UPIC, and it's an acronym for understanding, progress, impermanence, connection, and kindness. And when you start building on these various things and you can incorporate them, and like you talked about, just having, even if it's a small goal, even if it's a small step, recognizing that it is progress of any type, whether we're knocked back or maybe it's a huge step. It doesn't have to be, but also in those times where it's really difficult, that it's not always going to remain really difficult. There is going to be a new situation. There is going to be a new event. There is going to be another day or another moment. And connection, as we're talking about, the whole purpose of this is so key with that. And I think that as we continue to feel better, and then that creates a ripple effect around us, and kindness is one of those activities that can do that. Sorry, I saw the thing pop up. UPIC, UPICK, understanding, progress, impermanence, connection, and kindness. And that we can have an effect on the environment around us, because as we show up better, then people's response to us is going to be better as well, and their response to other people is going to be better, and we can create a much larger positive effect, and ultimately wind up having more control over those stressful environments because of what starts in here. So that's where I'd go.
That's amazing. And one thing that really resonated with me was just taking a second to pause, and it reminds me of the total eclipse that happened last year, and how for just a few moments the world just kind of seemed to stop. It was just peaceful. It was calm. And that day I actually had the opportunity to be surrounded by my family and just really remembering the things that matter to us, and just forgetting about all the other noise and just the clutter that's around us. So I really appreciate those stress building techniques that you mentioned today. Ricardo, what are some barriers that you have seen that prevent people from building social connections? And what advice would you give to them, to someone who feels hesitant to reach out?
Well, some of the common barriers people face when trying to build social connections include fear of rejection, busy schedules, and social anxiety. Many people hesitate to reach out because they worry they won't be accepted, or don't feel that they have enough time to engage, or maybe they struggle with past experiences that make opening up to others feel daunting. And so for anyone who feels hesitant to reach out, my advice is to start small. You don't have to dive into the deep conversation right away. Sometimes just sending a simple message or joining a group activity can open the door to new connections. Being authentic and kind to yourself, and recognizing that it is normal to feel nervous. Everyone has been in that position at some point, right? And so chances are people appreciate the effort when somebody reaches out, And with the community challenge, it's a great example of how you can break down those barriers, right? In a supportive and encouraging environment. Through the community challenge, there are many ways to start connecting with others without feeling too much pressure, whether it's through joining with your colleagues, or participating in the group activities, or simply sharing your progress online. It does provide an opportunity for people to bond over that shared goal of health and wellness. And it makes it easier to initiate conversations and build relationships, So if you're feeling hesitant to reach out, my advice would be the community challenge can be a wonderful way to ease into those connections and feel supported every step of the way.
I love that. That's really great. Amelia, how can families create stronger routines that support both physical and mental well-being together?
That is an area that I feel like most parents are concerned about. I just want to reiterate something that Ricardo just said. First step, show yourself kindness, because I know all of us who are parents, we are all holding that mom guilt, that dad guilt, that parental guilt of not being what we want to be, or I'm sorry, there's a fly, not being what we want to be, or meeting the level that we're wanting everyone uh, to be at, or that we expect as a society for parents to step up to be at. But it's so simple to really start forming these health routines, these wellness routines that can have long-term, even generational impact for your kids, your kids' kids, for every step towards the future of your generations to come, because it's as small as walking the walk, starting to make those small choices and decisions that benefit you, your health, and your kids are seeing you do that. And so just forming those routines, building those strong just priorities of making sure your health and your wellness is something that doesn't fall on the back burner, because I know so many of us get busy and we're taking care of everyone else and we forget to take care of ourselves and what we need. Making yourself a priority is such a way of showing your kids that health is a priority for them, so they can form those healthy habits for themselves as adults and for their kids in the future. And so I just know that for me, it's really important that if we're doing something as a family, it's not, I need to go be active. It's, hey, can we go do this together? And so forming those routines, but making it inclusive to where it's not just myself going, or not just me making sure we're cooking healthy food or eating healthy food, but getting my son involved in the kitchen and learning about the produce that's going into the food, and just excited about what we're eating and talking about it and engaging in the routine as a family, so that there's more success and it's not just on one person's shoulders, it's a family affair, and it just makes it where it can last and be so much more impactful long term.
I think that's great. One of the things that we started doing as a family, in part because of community challenges, doing weekend family yoga in the living room. So our kids have seen some of the Stronger Texas programming and just really got excited about it. And now they just love doing yoga and just are really excited. And even when I don't want to do it early Saturday morning, they will pull me out of bed and it's like, hey, it is family yoga time. So I love that they are already building the habits and also holding me accountable as well. Lucas, managing chronic conditions can be a significant source of stress.
Hmm.
How can peer support or community-based activities help ease that burden?
Yeah, that's something our country faces tremendously right now, right? There's so many different chronic conditions that people are struggling with, and not to get into the overcoming it, but really to your question, like how do we support each other through these? And I think that's the biggest benefit of any type of support group setting, is that it's knowing that you're not alone, first of all, in your experiences, that you're not having to go through this by yourself, and being able to connect with another person makes that just that much easier. Even if it doesn't, even if they're not literally taking the steps for you, they're holding your hand through these moments, and knowing that that's not something that you have to white knuckle it by yourself in the dark, for example. And as somebody, a colleague recently shared about his experience through cancer treatment and going through chemotherapy, that the thing that helped him the most, aside, external from the actual treatments themselves, the thing that helped him most in his recovery through that was the conversations and the understanding and the connection with the moments of other people during that time who were going through chemotherapy treatment. And that gave him more hope. That gave him, looking forward to a brighter future, that one day this pain, this agony, this difficulty won't be there. And they helped get each other through it. And that's really the essence of any type of support group, any type of chronic condition, is knowing that you're not alone, knowing that someone else is there, and knowing that there's a way through, and that there's going to be some type of better outcome. And even if it's not immediate, that you still can feel better even during that process.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice, and just kind of being there, being present for one another. And I think it's those little moments that really mean and make a big difference in our life, especially when we are working through some significant health burdens.
Yeah.
Uh, Bernard, what is a role or what role do local organizations and leaders play in helping people reduce stress and foster resilience through connection and support?
I wouldn't like to repeat everything that you guys already said because that all applies, but uh, I can only say that local organizations like Healthier Texas, like Innovia, like so many others, let's not forget we're not alone. There's plenty of people trying to serve, trying to help. Uh, we are often the bridge between the wellness initiatives and community engagement. And I've seen it within Innovia's groups. It's like I'm gonna say it's not like a transformation because I don't really like to use that word that much, but it's like it's a catalytic reaction. It's like they come in, they start saying, "Whoa, they can do it. Oh, this is good." So it spreads and it strengthens. So the involvement increases, trust and relevance as the groups understand each other, and also the social dynamics. And there's one example. I'm not a fan of retweeting what the World Health Organization is doing or what this company or that company is doing. But there's one thing that I've been following: the United Nations, the Healthy Cities Initiative. Uh, if you follow what they do, and if you take a closer look, and that is kind of also sort of the thing that we do at Innovia. It's like they've realized that through these community wellness hubs, data revealed that a 25%, almost a fourth, 25% reduction in stress related absenteeism at work within 6 months. And we're not talking billions of dollars. We're not talking Medicare. No, we're talking community wellness hubs. We're talking Healthier Texas. We're talking Innovia Life. So ultimately, community leaders, we serve as catalysts for this development, turning abstract wellness into concrete, practical, relatable practices. Like you're saying it. It's small victories. It's the small steps. We don't live for a certain thing to happen in our life. We live every day. So we have to learn also to be happy. Well, I'm not going to say happy, but to appreciate, to be thankful for the small, for the minor things, for the little things that happen in life, like this meeting, for example, this get together. People are going to get practical, actionable steps. There was one question that I saw in the chat that kind of disappeared, but Ricardo answered it perfectly. It was about what can I do as an introvert to motivate myself to get more social activity. And you said it. It's like small steps. Start one to one. Join a group. You don't even have to participate. One of the things I remember when I went through AA, I was 19. That was Halloween of 1987. It's been a while. Yeah, and the first meetings also with Al-Anon and all the other groups is like, first you join, you listen, like-minded people, same interest or same suffering. Doesn't really matter. It's something that we have in common. And then you listen, then you start, and then somebody sees that you're a little bit shy. You give them a smile, you smile back. Hey, you made the connection. And that's what leaders and communities can, and pardon my French, should actually do, because that's why they are leaders. Otherwise, they should step down and let people like you take charge and have people live happier lives, healthier lives. Basically, yeah, that's it. I mean, I can ramble on for hours about this.
That's great. No, I
We'll
think
let that for the next webinar.
yes, I think that's great. And I think it's, being able to make these incremental goals that especially for those who are introverts, it can be a lot of anxiety being in a room with people that you don't know, or are people judging you, or am I going to say the right thing? Is there something on my shirt? So I think it's really great. Even just that smile, that handshake can make all the difference in someone who's an introverted person. Uh, Luke, I have another question for you. How would you suggest someone find a support group or wellness group if they don't know where to start?
Great question. I mean, that's certainly that's one of the reasons why we exist, and being able to connect with us and find things through our platform through Healthier Texas, and the parameters that are set up that are enabling people who engage with Healthier Texas to also engage with us. But there are definitely simple online searches as well for so many different topics, where you can literally type in support group for whatever the thing is. And like I'm even a member of various therapy and provider support group email chains, for example, where people are looking for groups, and you might not even be able to fathom how many different types of groups there are out there for various topics, but it can get very, very, very specific, and they're out there. So I would say first, engage through us collectively. But for if the topics don't exist or you're looking for something else, you can also reach out to us and we can help you find those groups. Like anybody can email support@innoviabh.com and we'll help you find groups if that's not something that we offer, because that's one of the resources that we do. And definitely some other simple searches online about just that support group for such and such thing. And I think, echoing too on what Bernard was talking about too, about some of the being able to pull strength from, that was one of the other ones is really drawing on each other's strength and building that confidence that things are going to go forward. So I think that's the other thing about people automatically assume a lot with support groups that it must be something that is negative or something that you're struggling with or something that's stressful. The support group can be simply like, as he talks about a lot, like mastermind mentality. Like you're getting together, you might have a particular goal that you're trying to reach together, or you've got a business entrepreneurial thing, or you've got a family situation, or whatever it is. It's the common interest. So if you don't have one, maybe consider possibly starting one yourself, because there's other people in your community that are also looking to do the same thing or overcome the same thing or have the same challenge or struggle.
I love that. I think it's great. I know there's a lot of great resources, but I think I love your point as well, is that if you don't see what you need, there's definitely gonna be other people in the community who are probably thinking the same thing or looking for that support. So how can we start our own and how can we make a difference on an individual level? I love that. Amelia, what role does mindfulness or self-reflection play in helping people build resilience?
That's such a good question. I know that mindfulness is something that we don't always take the time for in our busy lives. And for us, I think that just building on, just reflecting on how successful something was, or if we weren't happy with how something went, or we know we could do better, sitting with that. And again, I said this earlier, Ricardo said this earlier, being kind to yourself, giving yourself that grace to see that, I could really have done better in that, but identifying it and then doing better the next time, it really allows for that resilience for you to not feel overwhelmed or overcome by failure if you ever do find yourself in a rough spot where you're not succeeding in your goals. And just really, truly, it's like sitting with those thoughts, reflecting on it, giving yourself that kindness and grace, and knowing that we're human, we're not perfect. We will do better as we grow in our habits and our routines. And we are still making the efforts, showing up, and we are not letting ourselves just fall back on old habits or old feelings that we can't, because that's not true. You can, and you just have to take the small steps. And I love that that's been such a key part of this conversation. We talk like small tweaks to life can have big long-term impact, long-term change. And so just focusing on what you can control and the small things and reflecting on how those are building on each other over time.
That's amazing. And you're right. I think, showing up is half the battle. And I think for a lot of people, it's that starting point, getting out of the gate that can be the hardest part. I know even for me with my health and wellness journey is always like, you know what, next week I'll start next week. And then next week came and I was like, you know what, maybe next month or next year. So, and just to know that we have a support system of, coworkers, family, friends, I think that's also really helpful in helping us make sure that we are also able to be resilient and strong, just because we're leaning in on each other. Ricardo, I know physical activity is a big part of your life. So, how do you think physical activity and social support work together to improve mental health?
Well, physical activity, it is a powerful tool for improving mental health. And when combined with social support, the benefits multiply. Exercise releases endorphins, which help reduce stress and boost mood. But doing it with others adds a sense of accountability, motivation, and belonging. Whether it's joining a group walk, participating in a fitness class, or even just setting a shared step goal with a friend, movement becomes more enjoyable and sustainable when done together, and coming back to the community challenge, one of the biggest strains of the community challenge is that it provides a way for people to engage in physical activity while being part of a supportive network. Participants join teams, encourage each other, and celebrate progress, which makes sticking to healthy habits easier. We've seen workplaces, schools, and Nathaniel, you're talking about like bonding with your family. We've seen families bond over something as simple as morning yoga, daily walk, or even hydration challenges, and those small actions create lasting connections that support both mental health and physical well-being.
That's great. Luke, how do you think people can balance personal wellness with the demands of family, work, and community responsibilities?
I have zero idea. No, I wish I knew. It's that's one of the universal things. I mean, it comes back to why we're here, like the challenge of living, right? And I think uh, Amelia talked about this too, and both Ricardo as well. Is first of all having some grace and some kindness reserved for yourself, and realize that okay, I may not have done this perfectly today. I may not have done it perfectly last week, but I use a couple analogies. One, in the finance world, if you look at compounding interest, and if you're adding 1% per day or per week or per month, whatever, over time, that builds tremendously on a compounding scale. But also, I use a baseball reference on the Mendoza line, if you're familiar with that, which is like a career 200 hitter. Anything below 200 batting average is considered not good for the major leagues. You're probably not going to stay there. But anything above that is pretty decent. And yet, the greatest batters of all time barely hit above 300. So the difference between 200 and 300 is only a couple more hits on average per week. So if you're looking at some of that incremental progress, I think that if you're identifying areas in your life where you feel like you're lacking or not contributing enough, first of all, don't feel guilty about it. It's easy to say, but we all do it. Recognize that, okay, I may not have been showing up the way I could have been or would have liked to have been. So I'm going to put a goal down. I'm going to put a target and say, I'm going to do this another 15 minutes this day or this week or whatever. And once you become more intentional with those activities and more intentional with your time, then you'll start getting some more base hits. It doesn't always have to be a home run. In fact, it rarely is, and that intentionality and grace we'll get there. It'll balance things out.
That's great. And again, I love the analogy. It doesn't always have to be a home run. It can just be a hit. That's again these incremental steps that we can make and we can see the progress, because at the end of the day, whether we hit 10 home runs or we have multiple hits to get there, we're still going to get there one way or another, and we're still going to feel that sense of accomplishment. Bernard, what is one surprising way that you have seen people lower stress or strengthen connections through your work?
You're muted.
Right. Usually I have the habit of leaving my mic open and my mouth shut. Now what I did is I shut the mic and yeah, well, I'm going to borrow something from Amelia, and that is storytelling. Storytelling is as old as humans. Remember? Well, no, we don't remember, but we know people used to gather around a fire hundreds, thousands of years ago. And even in the Middle Ages, they used to go around and tell stories, fairy tales. How do we, when we come to life in our family, the happy ones and the ones that, they tell us fairy tales. They tell us stories. How do we engage people? We live what we believe. And we're telling us stories all day long, all the time. So take advantage of the immense power of storytelling for that. And I would like to probably say that that is a surprising effect that I've seen over the past years. For example, during our anti-fragile community, we have a community named after the book Anti-Fragile, and we have a community. And in this community, we facilitate narrative sharing sessions where people tell us their story. And we say, okay, what do we have to do? What can you do? What is in your hand to tell a different story, to change the story? And then the narrative they tell themselves starts to change. And when that narrative changes, your life changes. So these sessions cultivated by empathy and they've strengthened social ties. They illustrate the human capacity really for growth amidst challenges. Take advantage of it. And it's fun. And we learn a lot. So that's the one that I would like to probably highlight because it's not about a complicated strategy. To live your best life, that's one of my groups. Live your best life is small, intentional habits every day, every day, every day. If you go out on the mission, I'm going to be, I'm going to feel good today. You will feel good. If you go out on a mission to feel like you'll feel pretty bad. So change that story and you'll be on your way to live your best life. Yeah, that's the one that I would like to highlight. Sorry, Amelia, if I took that away from you.
I love that. And, I think one thing that we can always remember is that we always have the opportunity to write our story, but also if we go left or right, we can always rewrite our story and we can always find an ending that is meaningful for us. One last question before we jump into the Q&A. And for those who are watching, I would love to see some questions that y'all have while we answer this last question from the panelists. Uh, let's start with Amelia. What is the most impactful lesson that you have learned from working with communities on improving?
I think that something that I've realized over the years, working in health department, municipality level, working with individuals, working just in different scopes, has been we're all trying to figure this thing out, this life thing, this stress thing, this balance thing. I don't think anyone has it completely nailed down. And beyond that, I don't think that it's the same for me as it is for you, as it is for anyone else. And so it is a learning experience. Everything that we're trying, it's kind of nerdy marketing moment. It's like A/B testing. We're trying to figure out, did this work? No. Did this work? Maybe a little better. And it's always a learning and growing experience. There's never just one set path for any individual, and your path is going to change and alter as your life and your seasons change and alter. And so just working with individuals and reminding them it isn't just here's my checklist and I'm going to knock these off my checklist and then my life will be perfect and I will be healthy. That's not it. That's not how it works. And so just expanding that to understand it is very flexible. It is very fluid. Our lives are a little wild. And so just finding those ways to make life work and find the balance that works for you. And that's truly, I mean, no one knows what they're doing. We're all figuring it out.
I love that. Same question, Ricardo. What is the most impactful lesson that you have learned from working with the communities on improving health?
I think to expand on what Amelia was saying, the most powerful lesson that I've learned isn't is that health isn't just personal, right? It thrives in community, which I think is like the moral or the theme that we've learned today. We often think that people think of wellness as an individual pursuit, but real lasting change happens when people support each other. Whether it's workplace rallying around a fitness challenge or neighborhoods organizing a group walk, school districts encouraging teachers and students to make wellness a priority. That common thread is connection. And so I think with the community challenge, when individuals, schools, businesses, cities come together with that shared goal, the energy is contagious. People feel encouraged, supported, and motivated to keep going because they're part of something bigger than themselves. Um, Firsthand, I've seen how a simple commitment to log healthy habits can inspire entire communities to prioritize well-being, uh, proving that even small actions, when done together, can create major impact. And I will finish with a quote that a good friend of Healthier Texas shared with us. I believe it was last year, Dr. Francois Booker Drew. You know, it's not about empowering individuals and communities. They've always had the power. It's about catalyzing that power. And I use that, in my everyday through work, through life. We all have the power to make this change together. But just how do we as organizations catalyze that, right?
Love that. That's a great quote. Bernard, what are some strategies that can help individuals recognize early stress?
I think I would like to turn the question around and build also. Ricardo, I'm going to copy you. Sorry, man. It's like build on what they've done, but I'm going to turn it around. What is one of the most harsh punishments that humans have invented? Isolation. That's that's one of the worst things that can happen. That's also a way to torture people. Sorry, sometimes my military background pops up, but we reverse engineer that. So if one of the worst punishments is isolation, one of the greatest gifts of humankind is connection, is community. We are social, animals. It's in our genes, it's in our nature. Same as when Ricardo said, when you move, we're not made nor meant, both. We're not neither made nor meant to be sitting at a desk for 8 hours or 12 hours or working at a factory. No, we're made to walk. We're made to walk together. We're made to do things together. So that is, if you allow me, my secret recipe for stress relief. If you get together with people that are stressed, you'll be stressed as well. But if you join people, that's also we have those neurons, reflective neurons. Yeah, you get with angry people, and all of a sudden your smile starts. Your lips start to lower, and you join happy people. It's like, whoa, that's stress relief. Look for people, look for groups, look for moments. If you can't join a group, think of moments. When we talk about neuro linguistic programming, it's like you anchor. We have all memories, but who decides what memory are you going to take out from the drawer? Like in the morning when you get dressed. Oh, what socks am I going to put on today? The red ones? The gray ones? Make that, make that test. If you pick the yellow ones or the red ones, your face is going to change. Your day is going to be different. But if you go into I tell you a lot about my gray suits, my white shirts, and the regular blue tie. And then every once in a while, it's like I take the Donald Duck tie and I put it on with my suit. And it's like, it's amazing what a little thing can do. And that's what I urge you for stress relief. Breathe, control your breathing, you control your emotions. And with stress, we have to differentiate eustress and distress. The positive stress that really charges us up and makes us do everything we want, everything we can, and the distress that can be extremely harmful with cortisol, and it triggers a chain reaction that we don't want. So if I don't want that chain reaction, I will trigger the other one. And in my personal case, when I'm extremely stressed, I do something very stupid. I take my finger and I imagine I'm a cat. You know, the cat, the part on the nose of the cat that's really soft is like, and I do it myself. And I don't care if people are looking or not. It's like, I take my finger, and sorry, I'm going to look a little bit stupid now, but I don't care. It's like, I take it and I rub my nose. It automatically, it's like, I start smiling. And one of the things that is amazing, and it never fails, you can't be angry or stressed when you smile. It's impossible. So, and you can smile on command. It's a habit. We turn that as we turn a dysfunctional response. It's a natural response to be angry, to be stressed, etc. But we can transform it. And this time I will use the word transform it. We can change it into an extremely beneficial and functional response. Just smile and let it be. Yeah, that's it. Simple as that.
Simple recipe, just smile. Okay.
It took me almost a lifetime to learn it, but yeah, it works.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm gonna have to remember the nose thing. I'm gonna try it in a couple meetings probably pretty soon. Luke, final question for you. Kind of building off on isolation. How can
Mhm.
someone begin building a stronger support system if they feel isolated?
That's, I think it comes back to, first of all, recognition, like awareness. When I mentioned you pick before, like having an understanding, part of that is awareness and realizing that, hey, I'm isolating too much. There's a reason why the U.S. Surgeon General came out with the epidemic of loneliness and isolation, that so many people have become isolated, even if they're in public or even if they're in crowds. Isolation doesn't necessarily have to be literally being by yourself at home or something like that, because solitude is also being alone, but can be very recharging for me. So, but I think first of all, recognizing the feeling of not feeling connected, and to me, that's what isolation really is not feeling connected. And so, if once that is felt, like if you're in somewhere and you don't feel like you belong there, and you're searching for a place where you belong, finding people with common interests or similar things. It could start with just that, starting with maybe there's a hobby that you enjoy, and you find a place that somebody else does that same thing. It could be an athletic thing. If you like to play basketball, go to a local park and bring a ball, and somebody is going to play with you, and all of a sudden now you have connection, on top of the benefits of movement and things like that. And play is so important. But that's what I would say is first an awareness of like, oh, this is what I'm feeling. This is a feeling of isolation or feeling of loneliness, and then taking the steps to do something like that, where you're actively with intention combating that through connection.
That's amazing. I really enjoy everyone's time today and just the conversation. I've definitely learned a lot, and I can't wait for me personally to join my first Innovia group. And if anyone is interested in learning more about Healthier Texas or Innovia Life, please visit healthiertexas.org or innoviaeh.com for more information. We are here to help support your journey. And we are excited to share today that individuals who engage in Healthier Texas's health coaching program will be eligible to participate in Innovia Life services at no cost to them. Luke and Bernard, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so grateful for this partnership. And to those who are watching this webinar today, we hope this discussion inspires you to prioritize your health and connections. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you at future events. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. And remember, rub your nose. Thanks.
I'm going to do it all the time.